Hi class, this is Miss Minor, and today's video is going to explain the ins and outs of the start of segregation in the United States, starting with the Plessy v. Ferguson case and why all of this matters today. But in order to understand all of the implications of this court case and what it meant to America, we have to have a little bit of background. There were a series of amendments added to the U.S. Constitution, specifically the 13th, 14th, and 15th, and these are called the Reconstruction Amendments that kind of started the trend towards more civil liberties and rights towards African Americans and other races in America. In 1865, the 13th Amendment was added to the Constitution and abolished slavery throughout the United States. The 14th Amendment was added saying that states cannot deny any persons within their jurisdiction equal protection of laws. That means despite race, religion, or other classifiers, the government must treat their cases the same as others with cases with similar circumstances. And the last amendment in these Reconstruction Amendments added was the 15th in 1870, which said that the right to vote cannot be denied by race. But hang on. Just because these amendments were added to the Constitution did not by any means mean the end of racism. A majority of legislatures in southern states were completely opposed to these ideals, and they weren't going to give up their prejudices so easily. So they established a series of Jim Crow laws in the South that made it difficult for African Americans to integrate and uphold these civil liberties. And this is where the court case Plessy v. Ferguson comes in. In 1890, Louisiana passed the Separate Car Act, providing separate but equal train cars for African Americans and whites. Except not really. As you can see in this political cartoon, the train cars provided for African American members were a lot worse off than the ones provided for whites. That same year, Homer Plessy, only 1/8 African American, boarded a train in New Orleans in the whites-only train car. But according to this law, Plessy was still considered an African American by birth and told he had to sit in the colored section. He claimed he was protected by the 14th Amendment that gave him the equal right to use whichever car he pleased. Eventually, this case went all the way up to the Supreme Court, where they upheld Louisiana's ruling 8-1. The only one to object was this man here, John Marshall Harland. The big point here is that they ruled the 14th Amendment protected against legal, not social inequalities, and that separate but equal was a constitutional idea. Why does all of this matter today in the long run? Well, it actually matters a lot. This upsetting ruling legalized segregation in America, and racism was backed by the Constitution. It took the Supreme Court 58 years to overturn this ruling. For a little bit of context, Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat on the Montgomery bus in 1955, almost 60 years after Plessy v. Ferguson. Martin Luther King Jr. gave his I Have a Dream speech 67 years later. In a modern context, Plessy v. Ferguson also holds many close connections with events going on around the nation and world every day. Bills such as Proposition 8 in California made same-sex marriage illegal. And after various protests around the nation, the Supreme Court legalized gay marriage nationwide in June of 2015. And so while in a textbook it may seem like Plessy v. Ferguson happened way too far in the past to hold any relevance, that is totally not the case. I hope this video gave a little bit more insight to help convince you of that. And if you have any more questions, check out these websites below.